Hey there, history enthusiasts! If you've been binge-watching historical dramas lately, you've probably noticed that emperors always seem to have more than one wife. Those elegant ladies by their side? They're the imperial concubines. Join us on this visual odyssey as we unravel the extraordinary things that were normal to Chinese concubines. But first, let's clear the mist around the term concubines. In simple terms, they're like mistresses, but with a lower rank compared to a wife. Their primary duty? To bear the emperor's children, boosting his prestige and satisfying his desires. Now think about ancient China, where emperors had a knack for amassing thousands of concubines. Inside the palace, it was a complex hierarchy, with concubines competing fiercely to move up the ranks. Jealousy and drama were the order of the day, far from a life of leisure. And if you're wondering how these ladies lived, well, they were cut off from the outside world. No contact, no doctors, nada. They had to rely on descriptions of their illnesses and prescribed remedies. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. Sometimes a concubine could leave the palace either as a gift to a foreign ruler or after many years of service. Some pursued ordinary lives while others stuck around as maids or nuns. Now, here's the dark side. Concubines were considered the ruler's property. He could even take them to the afterlife. Interesting, right? In the early Ming dynasty, things got even darker. Some concubines were immolated or buried alive, awaiting the emperor in the afterlife. Can you imagine the stories hidden within those ancient tombs? Stick around as we unveil more extraordinary things that were normal to Chinese concubines. Let's go! Alright folks, let's time travel back to ancient China and explore the incredible world of Chinese concubines. These women had to follow some super strict rules, and one tiny mistake could spell big trouble, or even worse. Imagine this. When they talked to the big boss, the emperor, or his main wife, they had to use super fancy words like talking to a king or queen. If they messed up and said something wrong, it was like getting called out in front of everyone at school, but way scarier. These ladies were like the experts of knowing where to be and when to be there. Missing an important event or ceremony was a big no-no, and they'd get in a ton of trouble. Some even disappeared into the palace shadows because they fell out of favor and weren't invited to anything anymore. Now, here's a weird twist. They couldn't get too chummy with the eunuchs, who were like the male helpers in the palace. Even though eunuchs couldn't do anything romantic, being too friendly with them was a big rule breaker. So, here's a question for you. Can you imagine living by these strict rules? What do you think it was like for these concubines, always watching their steps? Share your thoughts down in the comments below. Hold on to your hats, folks, because here's another mind-blowing fact about Chinese concubines. They were much more than just bed warmers. You see, these women weren't just there for, well, intimate moments. They were like the emperor's secret weapon, his trusted advisors and confidants, and guess what? They were seriously brainy too. Imagine that! They weren't just reading bedtime stories, they were educated in literature, music, calligraphy, and even the classics. Some of these ladies were like the Hermione Grangers of their time, and they knew their stuff inside out. Take Wu Zetian, for example, who started as a concubine and ended up as China's one and only female emperor. She was a political genius, helping out with important state matters and boosting arts and sciences during her rule. Or how about Rongfei, another concubine, who Emperor Kangxi consulted on crucial state matters. These women weren't just in the palace for a good time, they were making history. Here's a jaw-dropping fact. Some of these concubines didn't just sit in the shadows, they rose up to become incredibly powerful. Now let's talk about the superstar of concubine success stories, Empress Wu Zetian. She started as a humble imperial concubine at just 14 years old, but guess what? She didn't stop there. At 66, she took the reins and ruled China for a whopping 15 years. But here's the twist. She didn't play nice with her rivals. Nope, she got rid of them. However, she didn't stop at just eliminating threats. Wu Zetian brought massive changes to China that made the people cheer for her. During her reign, she kept rebellions in check, revamped the education system, and even reopened the Silk Road, connecting China to the world. Can you imagine going from a teenage concubine to a powerful ruler? The selection and ranking of imperial concubines were like intricate puzzles, each dynasty having its own unique approach. Let's unravel the fascinating process. During the Ming dynasty, they cast a wide net, considering all young unmarried girls aged 13 to 16, but exceptions were made for those already married or dealing with physical disabilities or deformities. It was a widespread search for potential concubines. Now, shift gears to the Qing dynasty. They had a different strategy. They focused on females from the 8 Banners families, mainly comprising Manchurians and Mongolians. However, the criteria for selection went beyond appearances. Looks, physical health, skills, and how well they served the emperor's mother mattered. Medical exams were also mandatory to ensure they were in good health. Yet, even after making it into the Forbidden City, they had a limited time to win the emperor's favor, or they risked fading into palace obscurity. It was like a high-stakes journey into a world of privilege and pressure. Hold on to your seats, folks, because this fact reveals the stark contrast of life within the palace walls. Some concubines lived like queens, while others endured unbearable suffering. The emperor's women were arranged by rank, with the empress being on top of the hierarchy, and each concubine had her own step. But here's the twist. The number and position of these steps could change with each new emperor. Your place on this ladder was like a secret code, with the color of your stuff, utensils, clothing, you name it, giving it away. And the higher up you were, the better life got. Imagine having all the fancy privileges, but not everyone lived a fairy tale. Some concubines faced jealousy so intense it led to tragic ends, like concubine Qi from the Han Dynasty. For others, it wasn't just jealousy. They endured abuse and torture that would bring you even to death. And here's the darkest part. During some periods, they were forced to die alongside the emperor, sometimes even buried alive. It's a tale of two worlds inside the palace, one of luxury and the other of unimaginable suffering. Now, as we near the end of our journey through the lives of Chinese concubines, let's delve into the intense pressure they faced on a deeply personal front. The pressure to bear children, particularly sons. It was a challenge that could be both a blessing and a curse. In imperial China, having a child, especially a son, was the ultimate goal for concubines. It wasn't just about motherhood. It was a direct path to climbing the ranks and ensuring a more secure life within the palace. But this pursuit came with an overwhelming burden. Giving birth to a male heir could elevate a concubine's position in the hierarchy and guarantee her a lifetime of protection and even a degree of power in raising a future ruler. Yet, it also meant that every move she made in her child's upbringing would be scrutinized, turning motherhood into a political act. On the flip side, concubines who couldn't bear children, especially sons, faced marginalization. They tried everything from mysterious fertility potions to superstitious rituals to ensure the birth of a boy. Failure often led to demotion or even expulsion from the palace. But here's where it gets darker. Rivalries among concubines could escalate to dangerous levels, with newborn princes sometimes meeting mysterious fates. In the case of Empress Wang and Consort Xiao during the Tang Dynasty, suspicion of foul play hung heavily in the air after Consort Xiao's son died suddenly. The pressure to bear a child was a complex, life-altering challenge in the world of these concubines. And that, my fellow history enthusiasts, brings us to the end of our journey through the intriguing world of Chinese concubines. We've uncovered extraordinary things that were normal to Chinese concubines. But our quest for historical knowledge doesn't end here. We want to hear from you. Drop a comment below with your thoughts on these extraordinary tales, and don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on the next adventure into the annals of history. Stay tuned, because we'll be back with more captivating stories and facts that will leave you amazed. Thank you for staying with us until the end, and until next time, keep exploring the fascinating tapestry of history with us.